before the Declaration of Independence was even ratified, in 1775, the United States Army, Navy, and Marine Corps were formed. Shortly after World War II in 1947, the United States Air Force was formed. The American military has been interwoven with the American populace ever since its early beginnings as a militia. But now, with professional soldiers guarding their country, times have changed. The civilian populace and the military populace have grown apart, and it has been dubbed the military-civilian divide. During World War II, over 16 million served in the United States Armed Forces, which is about 9% of the overall population. During Vietnam, only under 9 million served, which is only about 4.5% of Americans at the time. In the modern day, with the global war on terrorism, 2.5 million serve, with almost half of that on reserve status, which is less than 1% of the American populace. My name is Matthew Carapolo, and my senior project is on the civilian-military divide. I made this documentary to raise awareness for the serious problem growing within America. Since World War II, the military has been doing a reduction of force, getting down to its numbers at 2.5 million now. It was 16 million during World War II, which was about 9% of the population, which is a good deal. Now, it's less than 1%. So, the difference between then and now is that civilians don't know the military anymore. They don't know their military, and the military who protects and serves doesn't know its civilians. We've been at war for 14 years. The military has been overseas and out of sight for 14 years. The civilians have no impact to this war because it's not on our homeland. For the military, the war is all they know. Now, the serious problem that comes in is when people voting and representatives being voted in don't know the military anymore either, such as the president, congressmen, Speaker of the House, and judges. And when it comes to time to make serious votes on the defense budget and declarations of war, they choose maybe the easier route that doesn't help the military and actually hinders them, like cutting the defense budget and cutting our benefits and going to war. So this is a big issue, and from both sides need to mend this together. It's called bridging the gap, and we need to bridge the gap a lot faster. So from veterans, there's a lot of things veterans can do. They can interact with civilians. They can bring it back together. They can tell their story, which needs to happen. Veterans need to tell their story. Now, civilians need to be willing to listen. They need to not mentally check out. They need to understand. They may never understand what veterans go through, especially combat veterans. But they need to try to help, and they need to accept their story and just accept veterans as themselves. Now, granted, America does a great job with this and supporting their troops and a lot of outward display of patriotism. But there are a few things that can be done better. And hopefully that this video raises awareness for that and we can get back to bridging the gap. Now, our first clip is from the Camaraderie Foundation, and this is from a veteran standpoint, and just so civilians can kind of understand what veterans go through and what they have to deal with when they come back from war or come back from deployments or try to just get back in civilian life.
A service member, when they're coming back into the community that they grew up in, they're kind of feeling a little bit lost. They don't know, the people that they grew up with aren't necessarily the same, and they are definitely not the same. So having that understanding of what this person's going through is very, very important.
Such mental and sometimes physical hurdles are only two pieces of the puzzle when it comes to transitioning home. Our vets also face challenges when it comes to employment, not just in getting a job, but in developing positive relationships with their civilian coworkers.
I came into my job as a manager. A lot of people, they don't take kindly to that because they think that as a military person, you're given certain things. You're not given anything. You earn what you have. It creates a major divide because they are not educated on the things that we do for our country, the sacrifices that we make.
The big reason why I picked this for my senior project is because not only am I a senior in high school, I'm also currently serving in North Carolina National Guard. And A big part of this bridging the gap is the military. We need to interact with civilians, and we need to teach them our stories. We need to talk to them. Talk to them why we joined, why we're doing this. Our opinions on things. We're not supposed to be political. We don't need to be political. We just need to tell them our life story and what we're doing. And interacting with them, making them see us as humans, as other humans, as not as an entity, not as just a soldier carrying a weapon overseas. And we also need to speak out. We need to let the VA know that things need to change. That time wait scandal in 2014, that shouldn't be happening. We need to speak out. We can't just take our heads down and trudge through the mud like we did when we were in the military. You can speak out, especially veterans. You don't serve anymore, you can speak out. You served your time and you deserve the benefits. You need to bridge the civilians. You talk to your representatives. You need to understand what you're going through so that they can be there for you and the VA can be there for you. And it just make life better. Hopefully that this documentary can help everybody realize on both sides that there can be things done and that we can bridge this gap and get back on the same page and just enjoy the freedoms that America has to offer without being on opposite sides of the spectrum.
I think the average American spends maybe not a lot of time thinking about the military or even thinking about the existence of the military-civilian divide.
I don't think it's done with any malintent. The civilians in this world can't necessarily comprehend what the military necessarily goes through, what veterans necessarily go through.
There's definitely a separation because I am here in New York City, in Brooklyn, and I'm not in the Middle East. I'm not experiencing those things.
I think there's a tendency, and I think it goes on both sides, that a lot of veterans come home and are either isolated or just want to spend time with other veterans because we want to be around people that we feel can understand us and understand the things we're experiencing, and especially when it comes to trauma.
A lot of people feel that the only folks that can help veterans are other veterans because they're the only ones who are going to understand. They've walked in my shoes. And there definitely is something to having someone like you or representative of you help you.
Veterans will raise this idea of you just don't understand. You weren't there, you didn't choose to serve, you weren't asked to serve, and so they have a really difficult time looking at civilians and saying, how can you truly understand what I've been through? And then from the civilian side, I think people come at it from very different angles. Some people say, I want to honor veterans, I want to thank them for their service. Other people say, I was opposed to the war and I'm opposed to everything that you've done. And so people kind of tend to come at the divide with their own preconceived notions and biases about what that experience is on either side of it.
It's so easy to forget that when you talk about the military, when you talk about all of the spending, it's people that you're discussing, and it's the military and the Army. It's filled with people, and I think it's very, very easy to forget that we're all human beings, and yes, these people are being asked to do extraordinary things, terrible things, but at the end of the day, even if they have a different moral code, they're still just like you.
I've always felt like the civilians are the observers and the supporters, but it seems like recently we've done more observing than supporting. And I think that's just because we all have a lot of anger about the wars that we're engaged in and have been engaged in for a while, and we as a country haven't been able to separate our anger at the wars from our ability to support our military service men and women.
Guys, thanks for watching. If you're a civilian and you kind of want to understand a little bit more about the military, what we do, and the humor is the best part. Check out these guys from Article 15 Clothing, Ranger Up Clothing, Vet TV, and A Combat Veteran. All these guys have awesome pages on YouTube, and they just display the veteran humor so great. Just check it out and kind of learn a little bit about military and the funny aspects of it. And if you're on our website, click below and send in your information. We can send you some stuff. But if you're a veteran and you want to share your story, also send below. Add your stuff to the contact, share your story. Love to hear it. But spread that story. Put it on Facebook. Put it outside of here. Connect with the civilian populace, and together we can bridge this gap.